Hi, I'm Droolbatz. Thank you so much for clicking this video. I'm going to briefly be reviewing the 2017 movie, The Curse of the Witch's Doll. I'm going to just briefly discuss it based on its premise, its production value, and finally, kind of how it compares to other movies and TV shows of the genre. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy. This mother and her daughter go to this house in the woods seeking shelter during the period of air raids that were going on in London at the time. And when they get out there, the daughter's being kind of difficult. She's like probably 11 because she doesn't want to move. She misses her dad, etc. They find this creepy looking doll in this, like, they call it a manor in the woods. It's honestly just a house, but whatever. And the caretaker there is like, there's no doll here. What are you talking about? Can't do a British accent, but you know what I mean. Basically, as the daughter plays with this doll, creepy stuff starts happening. Suddenly the daughter goes missing. The police are called to the woods. They do not help the mother find her daughter. The old man, who is the caretaker, is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Your daughter's not alive. She surely can't be. I'll pray for her, but she's not alive, blah, blah. Basically, they're just kind of not being helpful and just gaslighting this mother. She keeps thinking she sees her daughter around the house, but she's never there when the mother looks for her. Finally, he finds this doll that she'd seen her daughter playing with, and this witch shows up and basically tells her you'll never get your daughter back. You must believe, but you don't. You don't see the truth, blah, 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 blah. And then the mother has to decide, will she face off against this witch to get her daughter back? And also, what the heck is up with this witch? Why did she take the daughter, etc. That's essentially the premise. The movie, I thought, had pretty professional looking production value. It wasn't the most impressive I've ever seen. It kind of gave me TV movie vibes, but not super high quality TV movie vibes. The pacing was fairly slow. This was not a slow burn movie. It was just a very slow paced normal movie. It used a lot of flashbacks and time jumps to kind of tell the story, which I'm not a huge fan of personally, but I thought the movie did all right with it. The special effects in this movie were very simple, and I thought kind of traditional, you see a doll and the camera cuts away, then you turn back and the doll has moved. I kind of liked that they just chose to go with the traditional, because sometimes less is more, especially when it comes to scary doll movies. The music was very typical traditional horror movie music, and I did appreciate that, just the the violin stuff or the dum dum type noises for emphasis. That said, the storyline was a bit unfocused, and I did not feel very engaged with the story. They didn't really show us much of the woods or much of the manor, so I didn't really feel like I was able to kind of enjoy the atmosphere of the movie. But overall, the acting was nothing I would have praised. None of the lines really stood out. Just nothing was very engaging, honestly. I appreciated the traditional type, simple special effects and music, but everything else was not really anything I would write home about. That comes across very harsh, but I just really truly was not impressed with this. Now I'm going to just briefly talk about how this movie kind of compares to other films of the genre, what made it unique, if anything. I will be spoiling the movie, so if you don't want spoilers, please take this cue. It was so nice having you, but please leave. I don't want to spoil anything for you if you don't want it spoiled. Basically, as the story unfolds and the mother is looking for her daughter, the guy who was the manor keeper, housekeeper of the manor, whatever, basically starts calling her a different name. He starts calling her Mary, which she had been for some reason thinking the witch was named Mary. And he goes, Mary, Mary, wake up, wake up. And basically, she's in a mental ward facility, and he's actually not the manor keeper, he's the doctor, and he basically tells her oh, you don't have a daughter, she died in the air raid, you've been having these crazy delusions of a split personality, we need you to come back to us. And she's basically oh man, that's awful. Then she goes, no, I know my daughter's out there, and kind of re-enters her fantasy. So while she's out, the doctor's well, I have no choice. She came back to reality and then quickly went back into her delusions, so we must lobotomize her. And so one of the attendees goes scrounging around and is I don't think so. we shouldn't do that. She's not being very violent. And I've seen you lobotomize a lot of people, actually. And I went back through the files, and they all claimed that there was a creepy doll named Mary and something about a witch. And they all claimed this, and all these other doctors said that there was hope, and you eventually, like, overruled them and made these people get a lobotomy. So shame on you. I don't know why you're doing that. And the old doctor kills the young guy, kind of gets away with it when the inspector comes, and then randomly finds the creepy looking doll in his hospital, even though he'd basically convinced everybody there was no doll. And he was like, what the heck? And he, like, picks up the doll, and the doll's head goes. You're kind of left like, OMG, there is a doll. Then the movie cuts to, like, presumably 2017. There's some British punks with a GoPro type camera, and they're like, hey, what's up, YouTube? Subscribe here. We're going to visit this abandoned haunted building that people said was really scary. Ha 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 ha. They break in, find the creepy doll. They're like, haha, this is creepy. And then the doll kills them. That's basically the whole movie. It is not very conclusive. It's not really revealed why a witch had a doll in the first place. If you're like me and you really don't know much about witchcraft, maybe if you study witchcraft a lot or something, you'll know, but I honestly don't know if there's a reason for that. So there's just, oh, the witch has a doll. It was hard because you're in the beginning, like, you're supposed to be sympathetic to the mother, and then the mother's not even in, like, the last half of the movie at all. It's focusing on, like, the doctor and later on the kids. It just felt really unfocused, and just, it was really hard to engage with it and enjoy it because there wasn't one specific character to kind of carry you through the whole story. With the doctor is sabotaging things and kind of gaslighting the other doctors, and, you know, in the mother's fantasy delusion thing where she keeps, like, asking the police for help, and they're like, no, you're crazy, and stuff like that. That's a very, very common theme in horror movies, basically men telling women, like, you're crazy. Apparently in this one she was crazy, but usually it's like a husband telling a wife that or something, so I guess that was different. But just the whole theme of, like, oh, someone not believing this woman, that's very common. And the whole, oh, it was just a delusion for you, or was it thing, that's very common too. I almost don't even want to, like, start naming off specific examples because it would be such a long list of examples I could give you. But like I said, it's a very common trope, not even just in horror movies, but just across genres, and even in TV shows and things, in comics, in books. So that kind of felt like a cop-out to me, and the fact that they used very, very simple special effects on top of just very traditional, like, horror movie music, really nothing made this movie pop to me. Nothing made it super memorable, and it honestly just blended into the background for me. If I had to rate it, I would give it a 1 out of 5 stars. It was just not interesting, it was not unique, it didn't present a particularly unique take on an interesting story or anything. That seems really harsh. I'm genuinely trying to be fair with it, but it just was not engaging. That said, if you disagree with me, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you thought it was a great movie, I'd love to hear your side of the story. Please leave a like or a comment, or even consider subscribing if you'd like to hear more horror reviews. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoyed it. Bye.